Right. But yeah, there's a natural segue here anyway. So one of the things that came as Elad was talking to me was that this time thing, you know, so we can, JP, you said as you kind of went to each different Russian doll that you're kind of like you're going back in time. And certainly, but that's we need to be really aware that that's a conceptual thing that we're doing, right? And even if, say, that so-called toxic starting point was at a pre-verbal infant level, but what exists in the present.
Yeah.
It's not back there then. That just is just the story about when it started. What's actually happening is that it's here and now that we're responding to that.
You know, with the dolls, I sort of meant that they were all present right now, you know. Yeah, exactly. That was my kind of feeling.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, no, so sharing those kind of techniques is brilliant. You know, it's definitely a good value, and with the more tools we've got in our toolbox, the better we can guide. You know, that's a good one. Yeah. Howdy, everybody. So have you been traveling for the last week, Declan?
Hey, Vince. Yeah, I've been quite calm. Calm is probably the best word. I think more relaxed. I don't know if other people would say that who know me, but it feels, I feel more chilled, as the kids say.
Yep.
And this afternoon I had some kind of just something happened, some shift. I was just reading some stuff around the fetters, and I don't know, I felt the no self in a way that I hadn't felt it before. I think for a little while I was just sitting in a cafe and I was just smiling to myself and just thinking, oh yeah, you're a big collection of thoughts and stories and stuff. But it felt more visceral than conceptual and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have an awakening. I thought, oh, shut up. But it was pleasant, you know. There was something really. It was a nice feeling. I'll say that. It was a nice feeling. So yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things that come out for me with that one, and I know what you mean. It is a nice feeling, but it's also a trap. Yeah, and the trap is to think that this is what it'll be like all the time. Yeah, and the other trap that we don't realize is that we start thinking about it And you know what? It's that thinking about it that ends it, that ends that feeling for us. We get back into the head and we go, oh, this is lovely. I wonder what this is about. Oh, yeah. And next thing you know, we've lost it because we think our way out of it. Because what it is, where that calmness that you feel is like you're having direct experience of the world. You know, your thinking is not getting in the road and corrupting it on you. So it's a wonderful feeling of clarity, of calmness, of just openness. Yeah.
Yeah. That's you describe it really well, Vince. I was just looking out of the street and I could see everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure somewhere in my head there was labels of people and cars and stuff, but it just felt something more open than I felt before. So but
so the thing that when we the way most of society operates and what we've been taught, how we've been taught to operate, is that we do put labels on everything, you know, because it's like there's this mind obsession we've got in order to explain and describe, and we want to be ready to communicate. So we see something, and what happens is that we start this conversation about how we might tell other people about what we've just seen. And
that's it.
And so
that's
consequently,
exactly
the moment you see the tree, you're seeing the tree, but within milliseconds, like I mean, literally milliseconds, less than a thousandth of a second or two later, we've got this idea that we're relating to, and not when we stop relating to the actual tree, we start relating to our idea of the tree. And that's how we go through the world most of the time, relating to our ideas of what we see. Yeah. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
But these moments, they show us something, you know, and that's really, really wonderful. Yeah.
I was wondering, Declan, do you think you could,
hi, JP.
hey, do you think you could, like, when you're just like here now, do you think you could like access that right here?
I mean, my head said, you know, if I would, I could. And I kind of tried a few times almost during the day, JP, and then I thought just leave it alone. But I kind of feels blank if I try. Do you know, I don't even know how to try. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not about concentrating or anything, is it? It's just
it's like you would sort of fall into it maybe rather than try, and it's like maybe I mean, just be open to the possibility that you could fall into that again.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Yeah.
Without, you know, having a plan as to how that might happen. Because it's the plan that will kill you.
Yeah. It's like Vin said, the explaining and that is so automatic for me. It's just, you know, it's there, but there's also something that just realizes that that's the chatter. It's the best way I can put it.
I mean, if you can experience it for, you know, 5 seconds or 15 or whatever it was, then know that it's always going to be available at some level. Okay. So
I kind of had it. It was. I felt like I was going to start like shaking. I didn't feel kind of safe. But then there was another instance that gave me all these instances. But which was new for me. In a group like this, I'm in a group called Diamond Approach, and it's much slower. It builds up very slow over years, really.
I think, well, I don't know what happened there. I was like, I thought I was talking to Duncan, and then suddenly we like shifted.
Will was
As I say,
talking, but he
beyond 20
wasn't.
years in, and then you want to be doing what. But it's great as well, because I think it's helping me with maybe shadow work and stuff. You know, it's a slow kind of like there's a lot of trauma concern for me. I think. So. But there was a small group meeting. We had a weekend, and there was a small group online. And somebody started talking about, interesting, because I don't like believe in God or whatever, it's just a word, but God, reality, present moment, whatever. And he was like, God, please see me. And I had this physical reaction to that. I was already kind of very much in my body. But then
Okay, I don't know who was speaking then. I
It was
don't know.
Will, it's
It was
really
Will.
hard,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
hard,
Just
hard work to listen to you without seeing you as well.
yeah. Okay, get it.
Yeah. I just wanted to say about that, Declan, that one of the things, a story that you can have that is possibly useful, is that state always exists underneath the chaos of thought.
Mhm.
So it's not really a case of bringing it back, rather than a case of revealing it. And the technique that is useful in revealing it is surrendering to whatever is happening at the moment. And it's like, it doesn't matter what's happening at the moment. It doesn't matter how good or bad or how shitty or how whatever it is. That simple surrender to that willing, open, inviting acceptance of it will reveal that state through it, kind of thing. Yeah.
As you said, this is it. I heard you, Vince, on a recording on one of the fetters on Saturday. That's really stayed with me, that this is it. Yeah. But I think that falling back into or allowing it to be revealed is useful.
And don't assume that because your mind starts, going crazy, that's an impediment. Because that, that will always happen, because that's the nature of the mind. It's like you can be in this beautiful state, and then suddenly, the thoughts will start charging in, and they take all your attention because they're loud, and the state is kind of subtle. So you think you've lost it, but really it never goes away. But it's like Vince was saying, all that stuff is happening on top of something very beautiful, and that potential for that to be in that beautiful place is always there. It doesn't go away just because you kind of feel that it's been displaced by your mind activity.
Yeah.
When you consider that let's say the storm of the mind that seems to want to take all of your attention, when it's also seen as this or it becomes transparent. It can still be happening, but it's transparent. And there is that wonderful clarity revealed through it, even though it's still being active, it's still going around, it's still a storm, but there is this recognition that beautiful state of imperturbability, that wonderful stillness is there. And it's just, whatever's going on, whatever shit's happening, it just becomes transparent. It doesn't necessarily stop. It just isn't obscuring anymore that place that you know exists now as a result of that experience. Yeah.
And sometimes even just allowing your gaze to soften. Just let your gaze soften, and the specificity of things starts to just be a little fuzzy. You can it can precipitate sort of a feeling of something letting go in the body, and the mind stream can kind of slow down a little bit.
Have you ever seen often on Facebook, or people will put up, and I actually joined one of the groups, so perhaps that's why I see it, but they're stereograms. So they're just like a picture of static, whatever they
like
are repeating.
magic dots or whatever they call it.
Yeah, they're just repeating something. And then if you look at it in the right way, and it's not a way you can force, it's a kind of, you got to kind of relax and just defocus a little bit, and all of a sudden some thing will jump out at you that's revealed, that was always there, but when you first looked at it, it was just a square of nothing, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden there's an elephant, or there's a shark, or there's some animal, or something that, it's a bit like that. You've got to you can't make it happen. You've just got to soften your gaze and relax, and there it is. It'll become available for you to see. It's like that. Yeah.
Sorry, that's so weird you saying that, Vince and JP, because I remember sometime before meeting you guys last week, I was getting really angry about this. Well, getting really angry. I was getting very frustrated about this whole process. And I remember, I don't know why, but a long time ago, working in an office in London and pre-internet, this is in the 80s, and somebody had one of those dot stereogram pictures poster on the wall. And I can't remember whether it was a violin or something, and gradually everybody in the office could see it apart from me. And I hated that picture so much. I really, you begin, I just thought, I can't see it. I can't. And in the end, I felt like I'm just gonna pretend that I can see it, because I'm just getting so upset with this thing. And that's what this process, I just remembered that last Sunday. I thought, oh God, that's just how I'm feeling. And then, I definitely need to relax.
Yeah.
It's good to like go out in nature or something for that. Like, if you go out where there's trees or a river and you just sit, and it will encourage, that sort of relaxation of the attention, just let your mind wander, then.
How have you been traveling, Alan?
Yeah, pretty good this week. I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with the sixth fetter model stuff. And this kind of segues nice into what Declan was saying, because that's all about the sensations, see, hear, feel. And It's nice because I do it out when I'm out walking. And yeah, you can do it anytime. I can do it just sitting, do it when I'm walking. And I sort of picked up something there over on the awakening curriculum. One of the folks over there recommended this practice by, I wrote it down, Shinzen Young's see, hear, feel technique. And so I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but that's what I've been doing for the past week. You know, and so if I'll, you know, just visually see something, just note it and label it see. And then if you hear a sound, you note it. And you can say it audibly, or you can just say it internally, hear. And then sensations, you just say feel. And yeah, it's kind of neat because what I noticed was, so they have it divided into two categories, the see, hear, feel external and see, hear, feel internal. So I won't go into the details of explaining that unless somebody wants to, but basically what I found from doing this for about a week, you know, at 15-minute intervals here and there when I'm out for a good hour-long walk, is that how much the senses, how much you get bombarded with the senses. You know, it's like I see, then I hear, then I feel. And sometimes I can swear I have them all happening at once. You know, I'm seeing something, but I'm also hearing something and feeling something. They sort of specifically say to just isolate on one and just hang there for a few seconds and then move on. And it's really kind of challenging at this point. It really doesn't give you much time to, the faster you move with it, it really doesn't give me much time to sort of get into thought mode other than to say, recognize it and say like, oh, see, hear, see, feel, hear. But then it's overwhelming. There's just like so many sensations coming in, and maybe after doing that for especially when I'm out walking, there's so much out there to see, hear, and feel. I will just sort of get exhausted and just stop it. And at that point, there's a real sense of calm. And it's almost like I'm so drained from labeling and noticing these different experiences that it's kind of, everything goes quiet for a while.
Mm.
And so, you know.
Yeah. So
what
so are you aware that what you're doing is, instead of what what you've been conditioned to do all your life, is to label what you are seeing? Now you've shifted to labeling the act of seeing, the whatever sense input it is. So in other words, what you're doing is that you're really moving from the noun of the seen to the verb of seeing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has a different vibe to it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's easier. It seems like, I suppose when you're getting just into the verbing of what's happening, you just don't hang there as long, you know.
Mm.
You get lost in a story, you know. It's like seeing.
Yeah.
Opposed like if I'm seeing, you know, a particular vehicle or something, and then I might go down the road and say, oh, you know, I like that vehicle. I think I had one like that one time, you know, or go down that.
You carried
So
away.
just kind of, yeah. I mean, I guess it's part of what they call like mindfulness training. I don't know too much about that, you know, the technique of mindfulness training, but they recommended it over there. They brought up, especially with the sixth fetter work. And so, you know, I'm just at the point where I'm just very curious about all this, you know, and, just playing around with it.
I'd love you, John, to explain to people what it is, what is the sixth fetter that you're working with, and how that exercise is shifting something for you. So I mean, what you've told us, and I have ideas about it, but others may not. So it'd be interesting for you to share your understanding of what it is you're using that exercise to do.
For me, it's loosening the grasp on concepts and
Yeah.
specifics. I look at a basketball and I identify it immediately as a basketball. And then if I have a soccer ball there, then I'm already identifying. So if I could have like 3 balls there, okay, and I identify one as a football, one as a basketball, and one as a softball. But the idea is all 3 are just balls. But then, are they really balls? I mean, it's just kind of softening the certainty that things may not be what you think them to be. And also there seems to be a disidentification somewhat of me over here seeing the football over there.
Yep, that's the big one. Yep.
Yeah, because it's like I've heard people say, it's closer than close. I am still at the point where it's very. I haven't had any of these visual shifts where I see everything 2-dimensional.
Yep.
I hear that can happen. I think that would be pretty weird. In fact, they even said, well, don't do that while you're driving. Don't play around.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, just to know that there's a whole different way of experiencing.
Yep. So I'll just read a note I've got here on Feta 6. Feta 6 is the subject-object illusion. The idea that there is still something here which is separate and apart from everything else, that there is a more subtle me than in Feta 1, but still one who creates and experiences the concept of space and distance. This is the core experience of non-duality, not one that is often experienced with just the dropping away of the self, at least not after the honeymoon period has subsided. So that's just the notes I've got. So subjectivity and form is what that 6th Feta is about. So you'll go from the moving things into the verbing to the actual experience of you and something at a distance from you or not at a distance from you. So that thing of experiencing the world in 2D is, a lot of people do experience that. I don't. I've never experienced that either. But I also don't experience things. I can experience them at a distance, but it's like I allow that to happen. But if I look at what I'm experiencing, then there is no distance. It's not even in here. It's just, yeah, it's impossible to say in words, but it's like, it's not that I become what I'm seeing, but what I'm seeing is at no distance. I don't know any other way to put it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
I had something happen with sound. Sound is, I guess maybe that's my bag, but sound is easier for me.
Yeah, it's easier for everybody.
I've had experiences where it's like, with visual, it's still like, I'm here seeing that. Okay. But with sound, I've had instances where it's very difficult to explain. There was just sound, and it was like a bird, and there was no distance, there was no concept going on. I didn't know if there was no sense of it was just birding, like it was, or it was just sound.
Yep.
There wasn't even that thing of like, now I'm hearing a bird. There was not any thought that I was aware of, other than the fact that there was just, I couldn't tell if that bird was, in hindsight, I couldn't tell if that bird was me, if I was that bird, if that bird was in me, if that, where it was coming from. It was just like all encompassing. And the weird thing about that was, though, what I still am left with is, how was I even, how was I even aware of that? Like, how can I go back? Like now, how can I reflect back on that? There's something other than thought that left an imprint.
Mm.
And there's, there was an experience.
Yep. So
Very-
my experience of that is that it is synesthesia. So that sound bleeds into feeling, and it's like the body becomes the experience of the sound. The body vibrates as the sound.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So it's a weird one. Yeah. Some people can get that, some people can't, but it is easier for most people with sound than with sight. Sight there's too many complications. There's a lot of other stuff, whereas sound just it takes over. It's just easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been experiencing that more and more, like feeling sounds.
Yeah.
And
I just want to say, though, it's because, anyway, I just want to say, if any of this stuff is difficult for anybody, it's not because there's any lack. It's just that everybody's built differently. And so consequently, it's easier for some with one sensory input than a different one, or it may well be that somebody is still too mind engrossed to experience those things. That could be the case, but it's not a lack. Don't ever think of it as an inadequacy. That's just not at all relevant. Yeah.
I was thinking, while you were talking, Alan, for some reason I kept on thinking that you don't need more mindfulness, you need more mindlessness. And and what was exciting for me, your description of that whole thing was when you described the labeling process breaking down, and then everything was uncontrollably, coming at you. You're just having an experience that you couldn't label it because it was overwhelming. There was too much. And that excited me. I thought, oh yeah, he needs more of that, because I kind of felt like that's it, where you actually, the barrier is gone then, because all that's happening is you're experiencing everything, right? And there's no conceptual stuff going on with it. So, to me, that was the most interesting part of the whole conversation so far.
Yeah, that's
because I kind of I've never met you before. I kind of get the feeling that you're good at analytics and kind of orderly and kind of cutting things into bite-sized conceptual pieces. And my feeling is that you kind of want to rip all that apart and just be in that uncontrolled, take it all in. I don't know, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah, I've done those tests where in corporate and stuff, because I was a scientist by profession, and
okay,
it came back as analytical, and fit into that quadrant, and it does me good for my job. So when I approach anything, I approach it like scientifically, step by step. But it gets tiring after a while, and so I kind of just letting go a bit more. you know,
Yeah.
and kind of going with this. This isn't something that you can hack through with thinking. You know, it's like
Oh,
you said,
no.
it's the opposite. You know, it's more about letting go. And
Yeah, can
I'm the type of person. I'm the type of person that could go for an hour-long walk and come back and be in my head and have no idea where I went. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can drive in a car, like it's like I'll drive an hour somewhere and I'll be like frightened at myself. I'll be like, how the hell did I even get here? You know, because the whole
Yeah,
time
well,
I've been up in here, you know. And so
Right,
that's trying to like undo that or allowing that to happen is kind of it's new and it can be kind of
scary.
disorienting, disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like doing that, see here, feel, see here, feel, see here, feel. And like you were saying, I agree with you. I think that you put it well. That's the way it feels. It's like, oh, these are just like raw sensations coming in, and I'm labeling, and at some point, I kind of snap back, and it's like, okay, enough. And that's where my thoughts are saying, you know, let's get back to me. You know, pay
Yeah.
attention.
Well, yeah, let's
You
get
know?
back. Let's get back in control of this situation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so yeah,
It's
so
pretty good
I
that,
kind of feel
we our whole society kind of puts a smart mind up on a pedestal right from preschool on, and it's a big part of our conditioning is to go, yeah, well, if you're smart, that's good, and if you're not smart, that's not good. So yeah, it's a big one. So for you to have a foot in both camps is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Oh, you're with us, Will. We can see you now, so we can talk
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
better.
yeah. I'm here.
See you as well. Yeah.
I'm here. I've been doing something similar to Alan, but only for a few days. I've been doing this course to widen your window, and then widen your window is kind of to expand your nervous system, and it's really helping me. I think I'm feeling my feet on the ground more, and that's huge. You know what I mean? That's huge for me, that I'm actually just being more present. But I've been doing this I run a little bit. The weather's getting nicer, and I hate running. I don't like it, and it's very and like I'm out of breath, and my legs are sore, and it's like there's a very strong sense of me, because there's like discomfort. So it's like, it's not like if I'm lying on my bed and I kind of look for the eye and I'm very it's easier kind of like to let go. But when I'm in like some sort of physical discomfort, I'm noticing like it's very hard to kind of free yourself of the eye. So in this course, the lady was talking about, when you're walking, similar to Alan, like, so 30 seconds looking, then 30 seconds hearing, 30 seconds feeling, and by feeling, I think by feeling she would mean your contact point, so like feeling your feet on the ground, so just move. And then the last one was feeling yourself moving. She said this is as you're walking, to just feel your arms move, and to just 30 seconds or a minute, however long it takes you. So I went for a run on Friday, and I said, let me do this while I'm running, because when I run, I'm like 95% of the time I'm in my head, and the other 5% of the time, well, 95% I'm in fantasy probably, and the other 5% I'm like wishing it to be over. So I did this, and I would say that around 80% of the time, I would think definitely 80% of the time, I was with one of those four. And it was the most enjoyable run I've ever had. And it's not like, I don't think she's talking about not non-dualism at all, but like I am like beginning like to like when seeing or with looking, like I was able to like a lot of the time, and like there was very little sense of like there was just looking. It was kind of six feather stuff, maybe kind of looking. And one thing I've had for a while, there's no two-dimensional stuff around me, but one thing I've had for a while is when I'm moving, it's like I can flip it to like everything is moving towards me.
Yeah.
I don't know if and that's kind of enjoyable. And when I'm doing that, like you're not really there, or not there as much, at least. It's like it seems like it's a very free place to be.
Yeah.
And with the sounds, a lot of the times, like I'm in New York, like there's a lot of sirens, and it was in Central Park, so there's birds as well. So it was very easy with the sounds, and also with the sounds, it was kind of, it was a great practice for what we're doing here, because like it was like there was just sounds, like Alan was saying, it was just sounds, and kind of your body, it's just the sounds are kind of going through the body, and so. And with the feet, I was trying to do like just meeting the ground, meeting my feet, because I really need. How this is helping me, I think, is I really need to feel a sense of support. I've never felt a sense of support. I've never felt like the feet on my ground, or that the chair. And I think like that reptilian brain doesn't feel supported enough, maybe, to stay present. I don't know, but when I've gone on like some of these retreats with Angelo and stuff, there's all these head openings, and it's all up here and wide open space, but it's like, but I'm not grounded. I'm like, I don't feel grounded. So I think that's really helping me, just feeling my feet on the ground. And then with the feeling, that was the hardest, but I was able to do that. But anyway, the bottom line is I wasn't in my head getting lost in stories so much. And I felt like I was, so that and I can do that anytime, whether I will or not, who knows, but I'm always walking, I'm always moving. So there's that. There's another couple, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, but I'm noticing that I'm just catching myself. It's not conscious, it's just happening. Like where is the eye, like all the time, like where is the eye, and just looking back in on myself. I'm catching myself doing that. And then it's kind of open, then there's an openness. When I just remembered, I just remember. So that's happening more and more. I'm going to use the word, I know the labels, but for me, still using labels for sure. So shame is a bit, I get like I get embarrassed, and shame comes up for me a lot. So, and it's very hard to stay with it. You really want to disappear. So yesterday I was getting food, and it was a really small thing. And I was walking out the door, and the bag dropped. There was hardly anybody there. I'd say nobody even noticed, but I felt like shame, like I did something wrong. So when I got out into the street, because it was activated. So when I got onto the street, I just stopped. And Pernilla talks about something I just heard in the last week, like staying with the sensations for like 7 to 11 seconds. I don't know where that number comes out, but anyway, it's doable. So I just stayed with the shame, what I would call shame, on the street for maybe 10 seconds. So I think that's a good thing as well, if I can do that more, because I want to stay safe. I just want to stay safe. I don't want to interact with people, like my mind. So if I can start getting used to these interactions where I'm feeling discomfort, and using the interactions to actually feel discomfort. One other thing, I go to a 12-step AA meeting on Saturday mornings, and I was a few minutes late. So there's a spillover meeting, because this meeting is very big. So the spillover meeting starts 15 minutes later. So this is yesterday. So I went to the other meeting, and I was 15 minutes early. And everybody came in and they were all talking to each other, and there was nobody talking to me. And I was sitting in the chair, and like I was getting very uncomfortable. Like I could feel like it was like nobody even knew, like it was just, I don't know what it was, but like I wanted to pull out my phone, you know, but I was like, no, I'm not going to pull out my phone. So I tried to breathe into it and stay with it. It's just a big wall down here, down the front. Really like, but I stayed with it for a couple of minutes, and then somebody started talking to me. But it was just, I'm trying my best to use these situations to stay with the discomfort. And there's a lot of discomfort, because I think it's the and I'm just like, I've known about this stuff forever, but it's just beginning to happen now. It's just beginning to happen.
Yep.
But there's no, you know, I was watching a movie last night, and I was just trying to look out and stay out, and like just stay out and not come back here and stay out. But I could feel like I was coming back, because there's all this discomfort. I don't know, like all this, I don't know, maybe that was residue from the day or whatever, but there was still, anytime I get still, there's there's a lot of discomfort.
Right.
If I get still, it's like it's not pleasurable as of yet.
Yeah, sure. But I love that you're in discovery mode. You're very much, you know, that curiosity about what's going on is just brilliant. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Bianca's got a hand up. I wonder what she's got to say. Yeah.
Well, I am this type to get lost in thoughts easily, but I disagree with you, Vince, that it has anything about in common. It doesn't have anything in common with being smart. And it's, well, I used to do it since I remember, since I was 4 years old. And I was, well, not, it was almost like people telling me that something is wrong with me, that I do not notice what is happening around. I don't care. And I can go in almost catatonic state. Yeah, that I'm walking the street, and I don't see a friend coming towards me because I am lost in thoughts. It's I don't think it has anything. It's not about being smart. And I was always questioning what's so wrong with that.
I can relate to that. You know, when I was a child, I used to do the same thing with I would sit in school with a book and ignore the whole lesson. And then someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, the teacher is talking to you, you know. And so it's like, I think as a child, you know, it's especially if you have, you know, I've no idea what was going on, but it was like a safe space, right? Where you're unreachable. And so you feel, you know, you feel comfortable in there. Whereas, you know, if you're out in the world, you know, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, is uncomfortable. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, it was more comfortable and more interesting.
Yeah. Do you still feel the same way now as an adult?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, because it's like familiar and it's like you've always done it. So of course you want to keep doing that, right? And it feels like a good place to
Yes.
be.
And it also it comes back in situations like now,
Yeah.
this urge to defend my right to go into this place.
Yeah, of course. It's like your
Yeah.
secret little yeah, your own little castle.
And
You can,
also but what is wrong with this? Well,
yeah. Well, do you
But the
feel that you pay a price? Do you feel that you pay a price to go in there? Like, is this something you?
well, you were a rebel, right? From the early days, you were a rebel because there's a huge amount of pressure from outside to be different to the way you were. And maybe I could, you know, I can identify with this as well, you know, so for us to say that our internal world was more interesting and friendly than the external world, we also had to learn a self-sufficiency that it appeared others didn't have because they rested on the support of everybody else, and we were the odd ones out in that sense. So yeah, learning to be a rebel also means learning to be self-sufficient. And get the term self-sufficient? So we built a pretty strong version of a self in order to do that, in order to be a rebel and stand against all of this peer group pressure to be different to the way we were. Does that ring true for you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, in my
yes, and I think it came very easily to be here.
yeah, in my internal world, you know, you're God, you're your own creator. You know, the external world, nothing stays the same, everything's constantly changing. But in your internal world, you can make it forever. You live forever, you never get sick. Whatever you dream up, what you want.
Mm.
So you have to create, you know, you have to create your own internal world, you know, through your own efforts. Whereas the world, the real world that we're trying to be a part of, that we are a part of, right? It takes no effort to be a part of that world. In the same way as seeing takes no effort, or hearing, you know, you don't open your eyes and try to see. It just happens. And so, you know,
But I don't know, Paul.
No.
It did for me. I failed. I didn't have what it took to no matter how much effort I applied, I couldn't be normal. There was a long part of my life where I wanted to be normal and I just failed at it every step of the way. I couldn't be normal.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that,
I really echo with that. I could like lose myself in a book or whatever distraction and be perfectly happy, but going into the real world was where would kind of the problems start, and that's still kind
Right.
of true today.
Well, I mean, I think everyone here is a rebel, right? I mean, because you have to be a rebel, no, to come here and even think about
Yeah, yeah.
something different, right? So everyone here in some way is a rebel. And so,
so
but
here's part of our conditioning. You keep talking about the real world, but I want to change it to that's the unreal world. What we're looking at is the real world. Where we've come from, what we're rebelling against, what society, that's the unreal world. That's the world of thought.
that's right. So I guess
How do you know what I rebel against?
Say that again, Bianca.
How do you know what I rebel against?
That's I don't know. I don't know. I'm only talking about me. Yeah.
Okay, to JP.
Yeah.
It was never an effort, and it didn't feel like creating a world in my head. It was just like seeing. I go in my head and there is a world.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Just to see. I go there and it's there. Just like open my eyes and see. It's nothing to be created.
Okay.
Yeah,
No
the effort was to be normal, so-called normal. Yeah.
But Bianca, did you have control in that world? Like you had a lot of control. You had all the control, right?
I didn't care about control.
But in when you're not in that world, in the fantasy, there's no control.
I don't think I cared so much about control.
Do you now?
I don't think I ever felt in my life that I had control over my life, over what I have in my head or what I have around.
Yeah. So for me, it was like that too. There was no effort with the internal world, but if I had to behave in a so-called normal way, then I had to use control to do that. There was a lot of effort involved, and I always failed. I just couldn't. I was never up to the task of being normal, and being normal was also being acceptable to other people, particularly to my parents, I guess, but also to everybody. So control was only there when I tried to be the way I thought others wanted me to be, or when I tried to obey my parents and do and be how they said I should do and be. That's when the attempted control was there, but I was never very good at it. But I'm really good at being spontaneous. That doesn't take any effort.
I guess my question is, we've all had these ways of being that we developed. So do they serve us now? Are they still a good tool, or are they still an activity that still feels good to us, or have we outgrown them? I mean, I guess I'm asking Bianca, do you feel that thing that you like to do? Do you want to continue doing it, or would you like something else to be happening?
I still like it, and I don't know what is good for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Bianca, as I listen to you, it's like there's something that's kind of touching to me as I listen to you, because it feels very genuine. I really, really get the feeling that you're just describing it. You're looking and describing exactly how it feels to you. And I get a sense that well, like I get a sense that something is clear to you. Like there's something that's quite clear to you about everything, how everything is just happening, including this so-called inner world. And you know, when you made a point of saying, what do you know about what I'm experiencing? And I think that's a point well taken. Like that's a fair thing to say. What do we know what you even talk about when you say that, except that we can feel you're sharing something about where, and this is, where your attention goes, so-called where your attention goes. But I guess something I'm curious about, that I haven't met you before, as when you are here, is there something you're looking for, or do you have wishes, or is there just a sense that for some reason you're glad to sit here, or how is that?
It started with the book Gateless Gate Crashers. It just resonated with me. That there are many things that I would agree with. And before that, I was in Buddhist Sangha. And then I was trying the spiritual way, but I have a feeling it came to end, or is coming to end. It's well, it just is. It's like the wind is changing. It's, I would like to stay there. I have friends there, but it just happens. And so now I'm here, and I don't feel like I'm on a spiritual path searching for something. It's like more like throwing things against the wall and see what will stick. That is something resonates with me. So this sticks to the wall.
So do I get you right that, so the sense for you of being here right now is that there's not something in particular you're looking for, but there is a sense that somehow it's right to be here right now, and you just let that be. And if you feel
Yes.
called to do something, you do, and kind of like that, with a sense of just naturalness and kind of
Mhm.
spontaneous
Mhm.
happening and discovery, right? Mhm.
I think I like one thing said here about that, that it was to Alan, I think, that you need more mindlessness than mindfulness.
Mm.
And I sometimes I get similar feeling that, yeah, even my meditations were better when I was not so much in the present and just, yeah, like this going with the wind.
Yeah, because mindfulness can feel like a lot of effort, right? It's like it feels like it's a job, right? And I think, you know, there's something to be discovered that takes no effort and is just like, feels like you're home. Maybe there's something that you feel here that touches that place that's, you know, to do with not making an effort and just being.
Yeah,
There is also it goes much. It was in the Buddhist Sangha, and here I still feel there is something in me that wants to be expressed, but I don't know how or what is it, but something wants to be expressed, and I'm looking for it. Yes.
yeah, and expressed is an interesting term too, because you can consider that maybe that means you want to express, you want to communicate something to somebody else. That might be one form of expression, but the literal word means simply to get it out. You know, maybe it doesn't have to be directed at a person or at yourself, just we got it out. But it occurs to me a moment ago when you said when we meditate, we go inwards. Now we can go at a gross level, we can go inwards into our head or inwards into our body. But I'd like to consider the possibility that there's this gap between those two that we can go inwards to. It's neither the body nor the head. It's somewhere hovering in the middle between those two. I wonder about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's mindlessness comes to mind
Mm. But
when you say,
also bodilessness as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Mm.
Thank you.
I would ask James to speak, but he's got nothing to say. Absolutely nothing.
I have one thing to say.
Go on.
Bianca, You know, when you said that you feel there's something needs to be expressed, yeah, or you want to express something. Is it you expressing, or is it that nobody's seeing you and you want to be seen?
I'm so able to make myself seen.
Good. And when you said it, you smiled. And I see you.
Yeah. So what comes to mind for me is that you, when you say you are so able to make yourself seen, that's not, you don't have to do that for James to see you. He is seeing you, even no matter how invisible you might feel, he's still going to see you. Yeah. I like that. That's good. Yeah.
But in genuine answer to your question, Vince,
Did I have
it's, oh, so when you said I have nothing to say, you're completely right. Yes. Because I don't know what to say.
Mm.
You said something interesting last week.
Yeah. What was
You
it? I
said,
can't remember.
well, it sounded a lot more important to me than it did to you, obviously. You said thoughts seem less intrusive lately. Elaborate.
Okay. Thoughts feel that they're there, but they don't seem to poke through into, I can't think of the right word, but they don't quite get to the point where they're screaming in my head and I have to take notice of them. You know, they're all bubbling along in the background. And if I, like this evening, I've listened to everything everybody's said. And if I dip down in, I could think of a response to saying something to everybody. But if I don't dip down into the thoughts, they just drift by. And then the next person talks and I hear that. And then that drifts by. And that sounds quite callous when I say that, like nobody's saying anything important. I think at the moment, everything is incredibly important, but it's important in that moment. And then the next moment comes along and then the next one and the next one, you know? So yeah, they're just, it's like the volume controls turned down to 1. I can't quite get it down to 0.
But when you
can't get
say
the
thoughts
thoughts
are
to-
less intrusive, are you seeing that thoughts are kind of like objects and not what you are?
Yes. And also, I think a better answer to that for me at the moment is there's some sort of realization or understanding that this self that I identify with and I say is me is 100% bullshit. You know, like Vince says, there's all thoughts are 100% bullshit. I've realized that whenever I notice it's me doing something, it's just complete bullshit. It's just complete and utter rubbish. And, you know, as Will was saying, there's this feeling of embarrassment comes up. Oh my God, I dropped a bag. Oh my God, I said somebody, I don't like your pink shirt. Whatever, you know, I'll say something, or this self says something. This self does something. This self then feels embarrassed. This self does that. This self does the other. And there is something else, I don't know what it is, that just sits there and just goes, oh dear.
Yeah.
What about the
So,
self-referential thoughts like I, me, my this, I'm going to do this, I do anything with the personal pronoun? Do they have a different flavor?
oh, Oh, if you use the word I in the conversational sense,
It's okay.
I haven't had any of those for a while. And I hadn't even realized.
That's interesting.
I think I'm in a position where I still feel, I know this never goes away. And I think it's seeing through it rather than it disappearing. But I still identify as James. I still think I'm James. I still feel I'm James. And there's something just waiting for, I want to say drop away, but I think more it's finally I'll see through it completely. And James is still there doing the embarrassing things that James does. And then at some point, hopefully this other part will sit there and James will calm down and not do stupid things anymore. But if he does, he does, you know?
What about that thought? There's something else that needs to drop away. You ever throw that up on the chalkboard and look at it?
Oh, completely. This is where words get really difficult because, yes, all of this is on the chalkboard, but currently I'm up on the chalkboard as well. That's what it feels like. And I'm trying to drag myself off the chalkboard or seeing what falls off the chalkboard and what's left. Or maybe there's nothing. I honestly have no clue. Even all these words now just feel like complete and utter bullshit.
What is it? Maybe like you're not on the chalkboard, but the thoughts are on the chalkboard, but they're still kind of jumping back into you, maybe making the leap.
Yeah, could be that. They're in and out. They're there. It's swirling around. Whatever metaphor you want to use, it's like, yeah, you know, for some reason, the image that's just jumped into my head is the Mona Lisa. And, you know, she's got that very thin veil that nobody can hardly see, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like that. There's this veil sitting there. It's gossamer, it's fragile, it's thin, it's almost invisible. And
Is
it's
it
just
named
waiting.
Maya?
I'm just waiting. Pardon?
Is it named Maya, the Veil of Illusion? Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. The illusion that
right.
is everything. Yeah. And that's where I am. And I'm going to
Cool.
go back to the very first thing Vince ever said to me on this forum was you're allowed to say fuck if you want to. And I'm just waiting for it to fuck off. The illusion, that is, you know. Hopefully it will. But if it doesn't and I can see through it and carry on with my life, that'll be cool too.
Cool. That's it.
I'm
Oh,
just
that's great.
blown. Go on, JP. I'm just blown away. I'm sorry. Go on, JP. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good because you're in a space where you're allowing everything that you felt was a problem to exist with you in peace, right? All these thoughts, that you thought were the problem, you find, you know, I liken it to like a bunch of toddlers in the other room playing, and you know they're there, and you know they're hitting each other with bricks or whatever, but it's okay because it's not the end of the world, you know. And like it feels like your relationship to your thought is kind of getting to that point where you're like, okay, here's this stupid thought that I have 10 times a day, and it's fine, you know.
Mm.
It's like an old friend coming around, and you can say, "Hi, thought. I know what you are. You're not me."
Yeah, it's the other thing I hadn't even realized is a lot of the obsessional thoughts that come up, like when you remember something you did in junior school and it was really embarrassing. They haven't been happening. They're just not there, or they come up very, very rarely now. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But the other thing that's happened is there's been 4 or 5 things that have happened this week that in the past would have been incredibly irritating. I mean, to the point where they would have really buggered up my day or my week or my life. And they're nothing serious. Like, I'll give you an example. My daughter's just bought herself a van, yeah, because she wants to convert it into a motorhome. And then she goes and loses her driving license through stupid things she did on the road. So we've got this van sitting on the drive. She's lost her driving license. She wants to get me insured to drive her van. You know, everything just gets complicated. And then she goes online and insures me. Then I'm getting calls from the insurance company going, oh, we're not sure about this information you've given us. And it's nothing incredibly serious, but it's one of those things in life, complicated, drags on. And I've just gone, oh, well, you know, I'll deal with it as I deal with it. Can't do anything now till Monday. I'll talk to them Monday. In the past, my whole Saturday and Sunday would have been completely buggered by that. You know, it'd be in my head thinking, oh my God, what did the insurance company want to ask me? What have I filled in wrong on the form? What do they need to know? Is it going to cost me more money? You know, are we going to be able to sell this van for as much? You know, all the sort of thoughts would have come up. And now it's just, I'll deal with it on Monday. And we'll see what happens.
James, I'm interested. I'm actually blown away listening to you. There's absolutely nothing needs to happen. You are there. There's no question in my mind that whatever this thing is, that, you know, anyway. So this thin veil, is it something missing, or is it something additional that needs to be removed? What's your initial impression of that?
It could be either or. I don't know. It's just what the sense is that there's something happens. I know this can, when there's all these discussions that have happened in this forum, that some people get it and have this experience, like people have talked here this evening about they've had this glimpse of the sense of self falling away. I haven't had that. Yeah. Now, whether that's something Alan has said in the past, you know, there's people who've described it that they may look back and go, oh, it happened 6 months ago. And I didn't even realize, you know, I'm just the only thing missing, left, waiting for, I don't know, is that shift in perspective. There's something that's people seem to.
Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this. If that never happens, would you give up this way of being that you have now?
No, this is far better.
Absolutely.
far better.
So
purely because,
so if you were to have the perspective of seeing that veil, let's just call it that for sake of a better way, as the same as a breeze that's moving past you, moving across over you, that you're experiencing a breeze. You're outside and there's this gentle breeze that's there, and you don't have any. It's not pleasant, unpleasant. It's not anything. It's just a breeze that's there, just touching you very, very gently, and you're aware of it. Just as you're aware of this veil that says something that you're not even sure of what it says. You're not sure whether it's something missing or something additional that needs to go. It's just there, the breeze. You don't fight the breeze. You don't wish it wasn't there. You don't want it to go away. You just, in fact, if anything, what you do is you appreciate the sensations that it brings to you. And if this veil were to be seen the same as that breeze, I bet that you would find that one day, the day after tomorrow, you would look and it wouldn't be there, and nothing else would be different. It just like the breeze, it would come and it would go. It would be there and it wouldn't be there, and whatever. And it might come back and it might go away again. It might, whatever, you know. Nothing is different. And you know, what the big thing that will happen for you is that the story will change from I'm not awake by Leonard I'm not awake, and therefore something needs to be different, to I now realize that this awake thing was just as big a bullshit as what Vince said about thoughts. There is no such thing as being awake. It's just what I've got now as a possible description for what the way I see the world now, my experiencing now. That's all. It's just a word. It's a concept. It's nothing real. It's not actual. There is no such thing in my mind as enlightenment or being awake. It's just a way to describe exactly what you describe. And
Yeah.
Nothing to do. I just want to give you a big hug. I really, really want to hug you. I think that's great. Yeah. I love it where you are. It's just fucking beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah.
It is a nice place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt when you said, you know, when I'm missing the experience of the self falling away, I thought to myself, well, what if it had already happened and you just didn't notice it?
Yep, could be. It doesn't, it's, oh, words are such a problem.
Yeah. Because you don't have to explain it, you know, just be with what you are.
Yeah.
And enjoy that, right?
Yep, I'll leave it there. Yep.
And don't try and hang on to it because, you know, it might feel different tomorrow.
You're muted, Yvonne.
I love your orange shirt, James. Did you hear that?
Oh, I want to call it pink, even though it's not.
Mhm.
How have you been, Cleanna? I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, but I've been watching all the recordings.
Okay.
I've been with you. I went away to India and Sri Lanka for a couple of months. I was traveling and I came back and I had a very bad cough. But I just want to say thank you to everybody on this group because I spent 10 days with my mum. She's got dementia and we hadn't spoken for 6 years properly, maybe 1 or 2 phone calls. And my mum and I had a very, very, very difficult relationship. I never doubted that she loved me and she never doubted that I loved her, but somehow we were so similar. And the whole 10 days was like by her side, holding her hand, everything's forgiven, everything's like, you know, was just amazing. I don't think I could have gotten there without dropping all this stuff that I needed to drop, or to just be open enough to see her, because I was like holding on to a lot of resentment, and, you know, so I'm very grateful. So then I thought to myself, oh, like, I don't give a shit if I don't awaken. This is pretty good. Like, just having a good relationship with my mum is something that I, you know, longed for and
Right.
couldn't get. Yeah.
Oh God, there's
But
some
like,
party. Yeah. Beautiful.
yeah, it was very, very beautiful, very touching. I expected to visit her. I told my sister, you know, my mom's in Goa, in India, and she's had a broken hip, and she's also had a heart attack and dementia. You know, I wasn't expecting her to like know who I was and everything. And I said to my sister, I probably will only spend 15 minutes, you know, I'll be in and out. And I was like joyously there. And my mother joyously wanted me there. So that was just unbelievable. And Like I think I'm like James now. Like the thoughts. I still I've stopped trying to figure out where I am on this, you know, definition. But there are less thoughts. There's more peace. There's more love, and there's more openness to feeling whatever I'm feeling. And you know, everything wasn't hunky dory in Goa. I had some like conflicts, and it was like there was a feeling of like, oh, it's okay, you know. Everybody's not going to love me, and some people are still going to react to the old me, the combative Cleona. So,
I
yeah.
mean, that will happen. People, yeah. It seems to be, well, at least my experience is that it's very much an internal thing. Other people will still see you the way they always saw you because they never saw you anyway. They saw you what they thought of you. That's all.
Yeah.
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 My wife will
Yes.
argue that I haven't changed at all.
Mm. Yeah, and I have to free people to be who, like, to let them see me how they want to see me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the old me would be like wanting to fix it and explain and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
There was more like, I'm just going to roll with it, you know?
Right.
I'll take as much as I can, and then I'll just take space and set boundaries. So like I had to leave a WhatsApp group. Things got a little bit, you know, the words became a little too painful to receive. And I thought there's no point, it's not going to change. So I'm just going to exit and take some space. And yeah, it was all okay. Like just not that it was all okay. It was very painful at times, but it was okay to be with the painful. Like I wasn't, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but there was more like it's okay that the shit is hitting the fan kind of thing, you know?
I found that
Yeah.
very moving, what you said about being with your mom.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
really touched me because
Yeah,
I don't know why, but something about your description of, you know, letting people be who they are, and that's what you did with your mom, because you sort of, you know, you had like, you know, you have pictures, you know, she's got dementia, she's this, she's that, right? And then, but actually when you were with her, you were just with who she was, with
yeah,
no, right? There was no demand.
yeah, yeah,
And so suddenly there's space inside you for everyone to be like that. You know,
yeah,
even the people who, you know, maybe you've had conflict, you know, you can allow them to be who they are and for it
yeah,
not to touch you, right?
yeah, yeah,
Certain way. I mean, deeply. Yeah, there'll be like, you know, surface friction or whatever, you know, because that still happens, but
yeah,
there's a place where you can't be touched in a way.
mm,
I mean, I don't, yeah, you know, there's a place of peace which is you can rely on,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, I experienced that with my mum, who she had dementia for quite some time, and probably the last 2 years I would go visit her a couple of times a week and just sit and hold her hand. And I don't even know if she knew who I was, but she would just smile the whole time. And it was just it was a meditation. It was just such a wonderful, peaceful, loving, forgiving, all of that stuff was just there, you know, it was beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't say a word, didn't need to say a word. There was no point. It was just, yeah.
yeah,
And she held my hand, I held her hand, and it was lovely.
yeah. It's very beautiful to see your own mother in such a vulnerable state, but also very childlike. Like she was not with all those protections and, you know, control, and she
Yep.
was more open energetically too. So it's almost like, yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, it's a miracle because I'd done all kinds of things, family therapy, constellation, this, that, and the other, and I'd just given up. I was like, okay, you know, I grieve my mother while she's alive. When she's in heaven, she'll be able to love me, and how that's how bad it was in my mind. Was like, it'll never be, you know. But to me, this is like a minor miracle. Anyway.
Yeah. Major miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a major miracle. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
And yeah, I wasn't invited to a family wedding, and I've been ostracized by my like for stupid small things of speaking my mind. But it was like it was all okay. I was like, I'll just take this one family member, you know, it's a win. And my sisters and my immediate family are close to me, and that's all I give a damn about. Like everything else will sort itself out eventually, you know. I'll make if it's meant to happen, peace will happen. But yeah.
Yeah. Have you been, Yvonne?
I don't know how to answer.
I have that trouble too. Yeah.
I've been with my grandsons, so that's been fun, and it's very immediate, and it's been wonderful, really. Yeah. I don't know what to say, really.
Well, your tone of voice says it all. You sound calm and relaxed, and that feels good here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. It's lovely to be here with you all.
Yeah, I'm pleased you're here.
Thank you.
How's things been for you, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like some days there's a little bit of heaven, and some days it's really hell. And it's mostly from the mind. After the last meeting that I was in, I try to stay with just being in the body. And there's just like a really vicious attempt by like the mind to get me out of it. You know, it's just like it'll come up with anything, and the craziest shit will happen suddenly out of nowhere. And huge dramatic stories, like, and it's like I'm just trying to like rest in the body, and I'll rest in the body, and then like, yeah, something will happen again. And yeah, and it makes it more difficult seemingly, or I don't know. I'll have to go through a story loop or a story arc, and then I'll come back to the body. But yeah, right now I don't know, I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable, and like I'm exposed, and a little bit of guilt and shame. Part of me wanted to speak, but I was like, no, I feel guilt and shame. And also like, do I really have something to express that's of any like substance, or am I just going to talk in circles, or, you know? So there's a little bit of identification happening, I would reckon, like some, I just don't know, man. I
Well, I
have no
noticed
idea
that
what's.
you're talking differently to how you normally talk. You're talking in a much quieter, calmer way than you normally do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, I mean, maybe what it is like part of me is like, is, I don't know. It sounds sad, but it sounds like giving up, or, I don't know. Like,
What do you think? What do you think you gave up?
I mean, there's this activity of trying to get out of stuff that's not really, doesn't, it's just so tiresome. I don't know. There's like some grief around it. Maybe like I was noticing that like at least I always expected something from teachers or from other people, or for something to work out or to give me what I needed or that final bliss or something. I'm not expecting that to work out. Um, yeah, I have no idea. I do feel like I'm grieving something.
Grieving, maybe it's the loss of that dream.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you guys were speaking about like living in imagination, I mean, that's definitely something I used to do big time, and it was a really big relief, and there was something beautiful about it, but I can't do it in the same way anymore. I can't reach that sort of like bliss or feeling good about dreaming. I don't I don't know.
Maybe you're waking up from a dream.
Yeah. I expected that to be, happy and blissful. And sometimes it is happy and blissful. But yeah, it's also the death of everything I thought was going to be good or a relief or,
I'm curious,
yeah.
Brian, if you're up for talking about it. I'm curious if there is any shame. You spoke about shame, like if there's any shame
Yeah.
now, and if you'd be up for looking into what it would say.
There is shame. Yeah. Yeah. There's like a shame. There's a belief that I'm like a shameful self. Yeah, that I'm not supposed to be here. That this is wrong, my life is wrong, that I've done it wrong, that I really fucked it up, that I don't deserve to be heard. That I might be
So,
attacked.
yeah. Yeah. So is there a particular flavor to this shame thing that's playing out right now, like here with us, if it could like, so yeah.
Yeah, it's like relating to its parents. So yeah, it's for sure. I mean, what it wants is always for its projection to be fulfilled, right? So it wants to be held, seen, loved, and it feels abandoned. So, but what it actually tries to do oftentimes is get people to abandon it so that it feels abandoned. And then it can say, like, oh, see, I was abandoned or something. So it might be trying to get abandoned, or tries to overcome abandonment by trying to get those parental needs met, of being, yeah, held, loved, seen, heard, whatever. But it's all innocent now, but it can be quite vicious. So it can, I've seen myself go, at least mentally, because I try not to act it out on the attack. And if someone sees me as shameful, I actually noticed this with the interaction with Vince last time. Like something was coming up that was like, oh, like spiritual ego, I think, where Vince was saying, like, you know, do you really feel like you're experiencing the sensations directly? And it was like, no. And I felt really called out. And there was this shame that like came up, like, oh, I've been acting spiritual. Like, I'm not spiritual at all. I might not be able to feel sensations even. And it gets angry. It's like wants to defend itself and stuff. So, but that's exhausting. So, luckily. But yeah, coming back to just the direct experience right now, I think yeah, it just feels like abandonment and yeah, needing to be
Is it
loved
clear?
and helped.
Is it clear if that's what's going on in the experience now?
It's also, I mean, these stories don't even make sense. They're not really congruent with the, I mean, if you'll grieve for something or it's sensation. Yeah, something did want to like cry.
It seems like there's something it felt like something deepened right now when you were with that. It's not clear, like when you were with that and then something.
Yeah, I guess it's not, I just haven't been able to clarify anything. So something has been trying to figure this out and it can't.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
No, it does. I mean, like I just kind of get the feeling that, yeah, you're realizing everything is like, everything that you try to do and achieve is grinding to a halt. And, you know, there's no chance of achieving it. And so then when you let all that go, then you're just left with who you are and what is.
Yeah, and a part of it is like, it's like there's like a sadness about that, like, I don't know. It's like this is a bit of like victimhood, I think, and it's like that I had to suffer so much. Yeah.
So
Is the sadness, sorry.
The three things that came up as you said that was that it feels like just for me it felt like there was a clarity in the sadness you say, and it also felt like there was a clarity in the not know when you said I don't know, like I just had a sense of clarity in that, like sadness and don't know. And then you said something with that I suffered a lot, which somehow I was also just curious about. And then you called it a victim, like a victim mentality or victim position or something like that. That there I was like, well, I don't know. That was, yeah. I don't know. There I just got a little sense of something slightly judgmental, maybe, where I
Yeah.
just Find a call to maybe hold it more openly.
Yeah, I like that actually, because there has been a lot of like mental self-criticism. You know, my mother was very critical oftentimes, so there is like a sense of like you should be better, but you know, whatever. But I like that does bring a little bit of ease, just like seeing like, nah, you don't have to judge it. Like it can be there. Yeah. I just don't know what to say or what to come up with, to be honest. Mhm.
Can I ask you something, Brian? I'm just wondering, you said you felt sadness, and earlier on you said you felt abandoned. Are you still feeling those things? And is that like a thought, or is that like a felt sense in your body, the sadness? And if it is, what does it feel like?
Yeah, it's a deep belly feeling. Yeah, it's just it feels like the root chakra, or yeah, it's just a sense in the belly, like a hum in the belly. Mm.
So the feeling I get is you're in the, like, I get a good feeling about where you are. And yeah. And I feel like inviting you, like you said something like, I don't know if I have, you said something, what was it? Like, I don't know what to say, or I don't know if I have anything to say, something like that. And like, is that like, how would it, maybe kind of be really curious about that. I don't, yeah.
Yeah, so I've worked with a good amount of like of non-duality teachers, and I've been told, I think, repetitiously, that I've used like non-duality to sort of escape and get out of life and not do anything. And so, you know, I've avoided jobs, I've avoided like living my life and like engaging in I think normal day-to-day activities for a long time. So I think a little piece of this is just, or maybe a big piece is just like, yeah, the guilt and sadness and grief of avoiding that, or the suffering I went through, or avoiding that, or whatever. So there's a little bit of, there's an underlying belief of like, I did it wrong. I should have followed the advice of, you know, my teachers or whatever, and engaged and done things, or, you know, to balance out the human. I never did those things, not in the way at least that I thought I would have, or not in the way that maybe was expected of me. And it's the same guilt, you know, that I felt with my mother, who, you know, was overly critical, or just critical, I guess, and would tell me, you know, like, your friend has done this and you haven't done anything, and why don't you do, you know? So I don't know what the right answer is, and I get the sense like something feels like I haven't done it right, and yeah, I don't know how to do it right.
Maybe that's a good thing, because you may not be able to do it right as the person you think you are. You know, it's like I have the same feeling about my life, is that I'd failed at everything I tried to do. And I was, you know, feeling kind of not happy about that, but I realized eventually that that was a gift, that all that failure brought me to a place where I could give up trying to be something and actually find out who I was.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have, maybe you've just had just the amount of suffering you need.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear.
I mean, because some of us are pretty stubborn, you know, and it can take a lot to crack the shell.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Here, I was going to start a business and become a millionaire and, you
Yeah.
know, do big things with my life. So definitely, kind of ended up going the opposite way or whatever. And some part of me is like, should I try? You know, should I try again? And there's so much suffering in trying because it seems like every time I try, it just like, yeah, look, I don't know. Something happens where the door's shut or it's really hard to do it, or I don't know, there's a lot of resistance or something. Even with things as simple as going to bed on time, I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed on time, and it's just it never happens. It never, yeah, you know, something happens to where a crisis or suddenly I have to throw up and I can't go to bed, and it's I don't know if I'm making this up, you know, if I'm using it as an I yeah, I've run a lot of circles. So
Yeah, I
so
just think,
maybe that's a good
I
thing.
think that's a good thing. Maybe I'm some sort of sadist, but I think that's a good thing because I think, you know, it's just like you have to come to the end of your rope, right? And then it's like, because if you hold on to an idea that you can still, you know, do something for yourself to, you know, make yourself better or succeed, you'll just keep trying that and you won't, you know,
Mm.
you won't be happy with who you are because you have this idea in front of you that there's something else you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, so it's a joyful, you know, failure can end up being a joyful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just
Brian,
allowing, I guess. Go ahead, James.
correct. I was going to say, Brian, none of it's failure or success. It's all just experience.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, everybody says here labels, and then you take the experiences and you stick the label good, bad, horrible, suffering, whatever on it. Yeah. Like you described earlier, the sensation was like, I think you said, was it a buzz or a hum in your stomach?
Yeah,
When
yeah,
somebody
like
was,
a humming.
when your lad was talking to you. Yeah. Now, if you said to somebody, I've got a buzz or a hum in my stomach, I have no idea what that means. Yeah. But you will then label that experience. Yeah. Now, I wish I could take those labels away for you. I can't. I've had enough trouble taking my own labels away. Yeah. But if you can start throwing some of those labels in the bin, maybe that will help. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think you're onto something, to be honest, because yeah, it is the judgment of my experience that is what brings me the suffering. It is what brings the guilt and shame. And that does seem to be the core of this, like, this ego structure is this, like, yeah, this shame. But it's just a sensation.
I'd
And
like
I
to,
hear Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos aren't happy either. So there you go.
Yeah. Not alone.
I'd like to point out to you, Brian, that you already have all of the tools necessary to be able to do whatever it is that needs to be done. And they're magical tools because you don't need to use them. They're just there. And they become available as required without any effort. I like the space that I think you're in, that I get from, I mean, you've laughed only 4 times tonight when you've talked, and that's brilliant compared to even just a month ago when you were doing that a lot and it was a nervous thing, you know. You've hardly done it. When you have done it, it's been quite muted tonight. You're talking differently. You're talking quieter, more calmly. You're describing things in a really lucid way. I love the space that I think you're in. I think you're in a good place, and everything will be happening just as it is. Not as it needs to, but it'll just happen. Yeah, great. I think it's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Vince. It's a blessing to be here.
Yeah.
And one last question, Brian. I've been meaning to ask this for months. What happened to the poster?
Oh,
it fell off the wall. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You know, I was waiting
Now I
for
know.
you to stick that corner back up, and it never happened.
Oh, no. When it came down, I was like, you know what? I'll take it down. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. There is a support, you know, in being able to be here and say these things openly and not hide, you know, anything. So yeah. Thank you.
Well, I say, in spite of the fact that I only got 4 hours sleep last night and I'm sitting here nodding off, I just love being here. It has been so good. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll wind up, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
thought I
Thanks,
was going to
everyone.
stay here. I thought I was going to be here for 10 minutes. So for that, right?
It's been great. Yeah. So much.
Well, thank you
night.
all, and happy St. Patrick's Day from the UK.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, happy whoever that is. Yeah.
Where's your
Irish
green,
saint.
James?
Oh, yes, of course. You're right.
Yeah, seriously.
You forgot his
Green shirt
leprechaun
next week. There
outfit.
you go.
Night.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
peace out.